Yes, RDU, you can call them fans. I do, in fact, watch his stream, and I'm a fan of RDU. So you're free to call them that.
I watch his stream too, and I'm a fan of ball control.
You would be.
We've talked about it before. You got to pick a side. It's the Europe morning stream wars.
All right, that's it. I'm cracking my knuckles.
All right, let's go.
You see the picks in bands, or protect in bands, rather, at the bottom. That's what that divine shield around the class means. It means that it's been protected from being eligible for a ban in the series. And so that means for the two of them, the big kicker for me that we're looking at here is the Holy Wrath Paladin and the Quest Shaman on RDU's side. And so that, to me, is the edge that Hunterace has in the matchup, is that particular matchup can take place. I think that the Quest Shaman has been largely cut away from RDU in this position as being a good deck to play. And so that, to me, opens up the Holy Wrath Paladin to perhaps get some work done in the series.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. Again, like I've just become immediately fascinated by Holy Wrath Paladin just because of Orange's just kind of like tease, I guess, when we were asking him, like, and because Orange and Hunterace are practice partners, good friends, generally prep together, like maybe Hunterace is on the same kind of plan that Orange is on, and we might get to see stuff materialize. I don't know. I just want to find out.
Yeah, I want to see what's going to happen. We're kicking things off with Holy Wrath Paladin versus the Quest Druid from RDU, and so I am curious about the patina that's over RDU's camera right now.
What are you just in sepia or something? What's going on?
He's like, yeah, I was feeling like a sepia filter today.
Fair enough.
Looks like he's about to drop a new indie album.
Yeah. Slow-ish looking start from Hunterace. Yeah, very slow looking start now.
Yeah, two Holy Wraths. Oftentimes this matchup, you do not have the freedom to expend a Holy Wrath.
Nope.
It is important to be able to deliver 50 because RDU's deck is playing 2 copies of Ferocious Owl. It's playing copies of Hidden Oasis. You need to be able to deliver giant amounts of damage in successive turns.
And that is extremely bad news if you are a Hunterace fan, because not only did he whiff on one, he whiffed on the Novices on 2, and that's kind of the snowball effect, because if you hit your Christology on 1, it's why it's so huge. You're almost always getting that Novice Engineer to play on 2 just as part of the curve. It just solves so many problems. You can see Hunterace, the timing of his webcam wasn't quite synced up with the draws, but you could see him just wincing in reaction to each card he was drawing as the turn was passing back to him.
This Acolyte's a pretty big blessing in disguise, though, where RDU would be able to play Crystal Merchant. He can no longer do that.
Yeah, sure.
So for Hunterace, it's full steam ahead. You get to hammer Wrath. If you find Christology now, you have it in combination with the Wild Pyromancer, so you still have some stuff going.
Yep.
Not that you'll spend Wild Pyromancer on that. I think it's important to have that as a clear. But RDU cannot contest this Acolyte of Pain right now. I'm actually quite curious about the Ferocious Owl here.
Go on. Just that it's not gaining max armor compared to what it could later?
Not even that. Just keep taking chip damage. Use your first Hidden Oasis. Save the Ferocious Owls.
Yeah, okay.
Like, you have Oasis Surger on deck already. You have Nourish after that. Like, what the heck's an extra card going to do right now?
Sure.
I think that's like a very minor thing where it's like an instinctual spend 3 of your mana, where this matchup is a big exception to that rule. Having your life total manipulated properly is a big deal.
Right. Hunterace looks like he is going to use this Pyro to cycle.
I think it's wise.
And I don't blame him, honestly, because with 2 Holy Wraths in hand, he is going to pick up 1 or 2 more dead draws, and he is going to need to cycle hard. So just Christology on its own might not give him all the gas he needs to keep going.
Yeah, and this is the big question mark turn for me, is the Crystal Smith Kangor and try to chip away a little bit more of the Novice Engineer.
That's Kangor. It's a little more resilient against Oasis Surger and a little bit worse against Starfall, but I think you'd much rather see Starfall than Oasis Surger.
Just a bootleg shielded mini-bot. Yeah, I said it.
There's Admirable's one for the day.
We've had very little semantics debates.
How has this become your thing now? Like,
well,
when did
you
that
abandoned it, so I picked it up and ran with it. One man's trash is another man's weird, cliche sentences they go to.
You were just playing the long game the whole time, weren't you? You made fun of it so much that I would stop saying it so you could then borrow it for yourself because you secretly loved it the whole time.
I did not make fun of it. I embraced it.
Okay.
I welcomed it with open arms.
Okay.
We hunger for vengeance.
Get the slower card draw out of the way.
Important distinction between this and the Warrior matchup as well is that this is not a just every single point of damage goes face kind of matchup, because Druids will tend to fall in that spot somewhere between 25 and 50. They're going to really struggle to get over 50 just with like the total of all the cards in their deck. So you don't really need to enforce every single point just to make sure they stay below that 50 point. They're going to fall in that sweet spot somewhere where 2 Holy Wrath is going to kill them. So using your cards efficiently to fight the board and buy as much time as possible usually works out better.
Also, they're pretty good at delivering damage. You need to pay attention to 5 attack.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the draw has beget draw. No lenses found yet, though.
I hope you like my invention.
I gotta believe that's what he's looking for. Figured a way to dump the hand afterwards. God, RDU's camera quality is just on point. Like, it's so smooth. It looks like a Hollywood film.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, when you have as many fans as RDU has,
Whew,
this
if you can even call them that.
This is the kind of quality that you have to output on a daily basis.
Quickly.
I will say that so far this match, RDU has looked perpetually concerned.
I think the way RDU is playing is showing that he is not really at all concerned with trying to outscale 2 Holy Wraths, which I think is wise. I think it's difficult to do in most scenarios. I think he is just playing the most efficient thing he can do on every turn to represent the maximum pressure over time, which that armor gain on turn 3 that we were talking about, it just kind of, on turn 4, on the turn where Druid would like to spend 3 mana.
Yeah, on Druid turn 3.
Yeah. Kind of just plays into that because, again, just get the card draw done. It might be 3 or 4 turns down the line where that one extra card deeper into your deck gives you more pressure on any given turn. I think it does just make sense. I think it's extremely tough to outlast 2 Holy Wraths.
I wonder.
Agreed. Something about the Wild Pyro living after equality is just so satisfying to me.
8 cards remaining now for Hunterace. Only 1 major clear used, 0 timeouts used.
1 major clear is an important distinction because there's 1 equality, 1 shrink ray in the deck for Hunterace.
That's a big deal.
The Zephyrus versions tend to trim that. Soup Vendor versions do not. Does have a subdue.
What
Yep.
Needs to handle something big in a pinch.
Yeah, subdue more powerful against like giant kind of stuff, or Flesh Shaper Evolve against Shaman, for example, where it's just the one big thing on the board. Against Quest Druid, they're going to have multiple mid-rangey things on the board all the time, so subdue not nearly as effective in the matchup. Not a enormous amount of pressure here available for RDU, though. Yeah, that's about the best you got.
That doesn't get subdued for a turn.
No. It does leave a good chunk of his pressure just vulnerable to a straight-up Consecration, though.
One of those down as well.
I wonder.
You know, with Shirvallah still in the deck, this prismatic lens is not as easy as it seems, actually.
You can't take me.
'Cause most of the minions are gone,
Yes.
so you have a very high chance to just get rid of one of your spells if you use this lens here. And I think drawing the Shrink Ray was the difference there, where he's like, you know what? I drew the Shrink Ray now. That's the one I feel like I needed to have.
Yeah.
Quickly.
I think 25 cost Shrink Ray would have put Hunterace in a world of bother this game. So that is a smart spot by Hunterace and by you to just say, no, all right, I'm going to delay a little bit. I'm going to do something else. I may just end up having to tank this board if I don't find something off this Flash of Light. But with 4 cards remaining, another big clear and a couple of timeouts, Hunterace is lining it up. Whew.
I kind of like this. So now you've pretty much occupied the idea of Hunterace having to spend mana to tackle the board. So after that's happened, he's got Hidden Oasis and he's got Ferocious Howl. He can actually survive the first burst of Shirvallah if he's got the board presence to take care of the Shirvallah afterwards.
Okay.
Let me think.
I think that RDU has
I'm almost out of cards.
like a
My
vision
hand is
of a
too
game
full.
plan. Oh, that's so smart from Hunterace too. It's like, I don't
Minion
need
then
to
spell. Yep.
And now how do you best navigate to that point? Because I think you want to use the Holy Wrath on the turn that you play. You want to use the timeouts rather on the turn that you're using Shirvallah's to make sure that there's no weird counterpunch potential.
Wonder.
But you could use one of the timeouts now. You're free to do that. You only have 2 Holy Wraths in the deck. So, you know, that 1-2 punch is gone in a matter of moments here.
Let's move quickly.
And now this Zephyrus costing 4 is actually quite awkward as well. Because the fact that it's switched to 4 specifically does mess up some of the turns, because when it costs 2, you can take it, you can play it, you can get Soulfire immediately for extra reach on the turn you play it. You can also play it if it costs 3 or less and pick up a Pyroblast for the following turn if you're able to push your opponent down below 10, which is just about the breakpoint that Hunterace is going to get to this game, between his 50 and the extra healing that RDU has with the Hidden Oasis and the Ferocious Howl. But he cannot play the Zephyrus. What's up?
Did he just blunder that? He thought he just glooped and then slammed an Elise. It's not active.
Oh. Anyway, to finish my point, because the combo costs 7, with Zephyrus costing 4, you can't play Zephyrus on the same turn that you do a combo turn and then get yourself a Pyroblast for the following turn, which you can do as long as it costs 3 or less.
Does the armor matter?
Hidden Oasis up to 19, so his armor needs to do 7.
So it'll do exactly 7 next turn.
No.
Yes. Draw a card, go to 7 cards. You Ferocious Howl, that gives you 7 armor. It takes you up to 14. You
Does
go
it
for
include
12.
Does it include itself?
Correct. It draws the card and then it
Okay.
gains
Oh,
your
yeah,
armor.
right. Yeah, I'm done.
I just feel like we have less armor.
Yeah. I would be inclined to agree with you.
Shirvallah gets handled, stuff in the way. And you see what I mean about that Howl, though? That second Howl could have made all the difference in the world this game.
Yep.
He has Zephyrus, though, but Zephyrus isn't active. Wait, is it active now that he's drawn that card?
Oh, RDU Zephyrus, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I was very confused again for a sec.
It's time to test your
But now you see what I'm talking about with the 4-mana Zephyrus on Hunterace's
Yeah.
side being incredibly awkward, because otherwise he could just rip this Shrink Ray to 25, play Zephyrus at the end of the turn and say, hey, buddy, my opponent's at 1. Can you give me some damage for next turn, please? And he will oblige and give it to you.
I'm out of cards.
Yeah, so if Zephyrus was at 2 mana, that was game.
Let 2 or 3. It can even swap with a 3.
Yeah, that's true. Because in this case, Moonfire would have been enough.
Well, even if it's not directly lethal, it does hand you a big pile of damage for the next turn as well, because it recognizes the situation that you have nothing left to do that turn. So what you want to do is have something to kill your opponent with next turn.
Let's move
So
quickly.
even if it's not immediately lethal, just having a playable Zephyrus right there can get you a Pyroblast that will end the game. It's the maximum damage you can get off it. This gives RDU outs to potentially find some extra healing and get out of range.
There's 4 cards left in his deck, and Zephyrus isn't active. Like, I mean,
that's kind of gross.
This would be healing touch up to 9.
And now, because RDU cannot do that, then even if he was able to heal for a little bit, then Hunterace can still Zephyrus into Fireball to end the game instead. But there are situations where that Fireball not being a Pyroblast could have ended up being relevant, and Healing Touch is very much one of them. Of course, you still have to deal with the board state as well. These 2 Shivalas
beat the Surger,
facing him
right?
down. Yeah.
Now, how about...
RD just hoping something weird happens. It's not gonna.
Yeah, RDU deciding he just doesn't want to trust Zephyrus this game, which, fair enough.
Well, he can't. Won't activate.
No, Hunterace is Zephyrus.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, trust the old true silver champion.
Sure.
True is in the name.
Really, really super interesting how that dynamic of that matchup is shifted a lot depending on how things are going. I think you see from RDU's reaction that he's not happy with the way he played it, and I think rightly so. There's a lot of kind of weird, goofy looking stuff towards the end of that one, and even Admirable's point of contention, that early Ferocious Howl usage could have been that big extra kicker with the armor as well.
Yeah. I mean, outlasting damage is really your only objective in the matchup.
But again, like, so when I said it's really hard to like outlast the damage, let's say that Ferocious Howl does actually gain 7 or 8 real extra bonus points of armor, but which I'm saying, or as you said, he takes the damage, he heals it back up, and then that damage becomes armor on top again. There's still that True Silver that ends up swinging through, and there's still a Zephyrus that picks up more damage to come through at the end. Like, it's super hard to get through it all, and I know you're going to say that's extra turns where his Zephyrus then becomes live, and then there's he. Like, I know.
There's also the point of contention of just using it and not using your life total initially. Like, you're going to take damage in that matchup at some point. Like, use the first hidden Oasis efficiently, and don't let your armor get shredded away. Like, that makes a big difference in the matchup.
Right.
I think that there's a lot of small, little, tricky things there that could be done differently in that spot. Like,
actually
if I had to grade that game from RDU, I'm giving it a D-.
Whew.
It's a passing grade, but it wasn't very good. I did not like it. And I don't want to go in an RDU because I like RDU, and I don't want to try to make the players look like they're doing bad jobs because they're not. They're playing very tough games of Hearthstone versus the world's elite. But when you're part of that group, you need to play at the elite level. I'm going off here. I'm sick of it. And Dan talked about this with Americas and their sloppy play they had last week. I'm talking about it now. It wasn't even like a consideration to hold the Ferocious Howl in this spot. Like, consider it. That's all I want to see. If you land on the Ferocious Howl, so be it. But I want to see you consider it at least. Yeah, I said it. It's not just RDU. I'm not going to call it everybody. I'm just using this as the example. I'm sorry, RDU.
I think Admirable needs a minute or 2 to calm down, so...
Get us to break. You do it.
We'll be right back. Conclusion of our last game of the day. Game number 5, Week 3, Grandmasters Season 2. Do not go anywhere, because there's more of this fire coming out when we come back.
It's not personal.
Darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tombs, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism.
My name is Sam Braithwaite, and I'm the Senior Global Franchise Lead for Hearthstone Esports. This event was especially cool because it takes place right after the brand new expansion Rise of Shadows. Historically in Hearthstone Esports, we do our big events like this towards the end of an expansion cycle, but we really wanted to shake things up and really showcase that not only is the world champion the person who can pilot the best decks, but also the person who, when presented with a brand new game, can put together the best decks leading into the world championship. Cheers to you guys, the sold out crowd here for the HCT 2019 World Championship.
Welcome back to 2019 HCT World Championship.
We've had a lot of fun games, and we're looking forward to the grand finals. Showdown. Viper versus Hunterace. Only one can be the champion.
Oh, come on!
Match will be dead.
Wacko pick of this coming out from Hunterace.
It's now or never. Archvillain reform.
Okay! In a completely solved game, Hunterace finds a way to maximize his chances. It's been a wonderful journey throughout the past few years of the Hearthstone Championship Tour, where stars were made and dreams came true.
Our fifth match of the day for the European region here in week number 3 for Hearthstone Grandmasters. And Nathan, that's Admiral Zamora. I'm joined by Soddle, as he's requested I call him from now on. And we're about to get into game number 2 of Hunterace taking on RDU, our featured match of the day. And whew, I'm glad that we went to break. I needed a minute to cool down there. I want to say first, I know I got hyphy. It sounded pretty angry, so please take that with a grain of salt. My voice just sounds angry all the time, even if I try to sound really happy with it. But number 2 is I've seen some messy play today, and I'm not going to give them slack on this one. Europe has been one of the strongest regions, if not the strongest region, almost since the beginning of competitive Hearthstone. And the kinds of mistakes that I've been seeing today cannot be afforded at this level. And you don't get the slack for it. You've proven yourself one of the best. I want to see better.
All right, also, just finally before we move on, I do want to continue to just defend the Ferocious Howl a little bit. Like, I absolutely agree, it should be considered. But I also think one of the game plans you can execute as Druid in that matchup is to cycle through your deck very, very quickly so your Highlander cards become active, and then you use Elise to duplicate healing, which I actually think is what RDU is trying to do, right? Like, to me, the really unforgivable thing is that he just completely, like, derped on that turn. And I guess thought his Elise was active when it wasn't and just made a complete mess of it. Because if he could then duplicate the Ferocious Howl and the Hidden Oasis in his hand, he has so much healing beyond the point anyway. So I think potentially being efficient and just drawing cards and playing your cards is viable in the matchup if that's the game plan you're going to try and execute. RDU, somewhere along the line, messed it up horribly. I think we can all agree on that.
I mean, he didn't have a choice to do it right. He would have never gotten it active.
Yeah.
Just take your time. Slow down. That's all I'm saying. It's not the Howl that's bad. It's the instantaneous don't think about it Howl. All right. Priest matchup. Maybe we can continue the rant, actually.
When the 3 turns this game lasts.
One of these hands is just like the other, but one of these players is instead going first.
Yeah, one of these players has an Inner Fire, which is a big, big kicker in breaking these ties.
Is someone injured?
Because yes, RDU is going first. Yes, RDU has attacker's initiative, but Hunterace is going to be the guy with minions with enough power to actually make effective trades.
So it boils down to this draw. I'm playing the other Northshire.
Well, well, well.
The problem is he's staring at the idea of inner fire, but Hunterace has the power word shield.
Look at his face! Look at his little face right now.
What a blessing. What is it like?
This is the play for sure, though, for RDU. Right? You know that if you just play the other cleric and then there's just an inner fire 5/5 on the other side of the board, you're sad. I think making him need second sidekick or power word shield plus inner fire is the right line to take. Yep.
I'm sorry, RDU. Look, you don't deserve this, all right? I'm sorry that I platformed on you. I'm sorry that you're going to watch this later and you're going to be very upset with my words. I don't mean it personally. It's a message to everyone who's made careless errors.
Quickly.
You did not make a careless error this game. You got priested. Silence? Nope.
Is someone injured?
Yeah.
Silence. Yep. Yep.
Whoa.
Yep.
A game. Almost.
A wild game of Hearthstone appeared. It cast extra arms. It was super effective.
Dang it, you're so right. You actually even have the option to just topsy off your own Northshire cleric and try to get it back into the pool. You have so many different ways you could just do everything you want.
Oh, that's cute. I kind of like that, actually.
I mean, eventually it has to die anyway because it's the one carrying extra arms, right?
Right.
I like how much you perked up, though. Oh, that's cute!
That's adorable!
Yes, that is a play you can make. You can blow up all your own cards. But you see, an inner fire expended means that you need the topsy-turvy for later, perhaps.
Yeah, that's fair, too.
Yeah. I get a pat on the back. You tried.
On the sidekick, huh?
Quickly.
So if Psychopomp were to come down from RDU, he then has the 2 attacks to go efficiently into the cleric where they both live, whereas if he does it the other way around, the beaming sidekick dies to taking care of the second half of the cleric.
Makes sense to me.
Life is enough.
Ouch. Yeah, RDU's dead. He's not dead yet, but that's a lot of extra cards for Hunterace where RDU does not have any more Northshire clerics left.
Yep.
I must consider.
Is someone injured?
Is there anything else you draw for one that's going to be more relevant than this Light Warden? Probably not, right?
Kill him already. You're torturing the poor guy.
All right, guys, we're out. We're just going to go home and let the rest of this play out in silence.
I mean, look at it.
You guys have got this, right? It's fine.
Topsy the Light Warden. Oh.
Topsy the 1/2. Just clear the board.
Just make sure they can't buff stuff and do stuff.
Yep.
So literally only Wild Pyro shenanigans are the way that RDU could possibly claw out of it.
Yeah, it would have to be Pyro double spell at the very, very least. Pyro triple spell to really give RDU any realistic hope of winning the game, but that's just not going to happen in that spot. Hunterace, after arguably being handed game number 1, was also then handed game number 2 with that inner fire off the top. Priest mirrors. I'm still like, I still enjoy a lot of matchups with that Priest deck, but there is no denying that the mirror is just super clowny.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
what else
atrocious. That is not okay. Where it's like, thing, capitalize. Oh, okay, well, how'd you on that one? I mean, that deck is abundantly powerful. There are counters to it, but I think you have to like pretty deliberately counter it.
Yeah.
Which I guess is like one of my issues. There's very little ways to like splash hate on the deck by countering something else pretty cleverly.
Right. You have to play very like specific, weird, unique cards that aren't very effective in the rest of the metagame, right? Like Shock, Hex, Polymorph,
hey,
like all that kind of stuff.
This is Grandmasters. You bring the decks that win. And Hunterace now is like, how long is his undefeated streak in regular season?
12 matches.
That is insane. 12, like in a row.
Yes.
If you count regular season play only, you don't count playoffs in this asterisk that we've placed next to this. 12 match wins in a row in regular season.
Yep, 7 at the back end of last season, and now off to a perfect 5-0 start at the start of this one.
Very impressive. So let's have a word with the world champion himself. Hunterace, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. You're going to want to watch the feed later. I kind of went off after game number 1. I got a little bit hypey about it. Anyways, talk to me about this set right here. Like, RDU had like a fluke gloop today. We saw like Viper take some extra damage. What has been your thoughts on the play quality over Europe in the last 3 weeks?
Oh, did anything happen in any of the games from Router's side? I mean, I saw that Elise thing, but was there something you could have done?
Not just play an Elise with a gloop, I guess, but I'm using it as an example because it's recent memory. But I'm just curious about like your thoughts overall on European play. Like Dan got on the platform last week about America stuff, and I want to ask you the same question about Europe.
I think Europe play is quite a lot stronger than the other regions. At the same time, though, I feel that most of the players that were extremely good last season has gotten a bit worse this year, from my viewpoint watching the stream. So that's a bit disappointing. So I hope that more people play more Hearthstone and keep the game up, because right now the general level in Grandmaster is a bit disappointing, I think.
So I want to ask you how it feels to be the #1 trendsetter in Hearthstone Grandmasters when it comes to deck building. Not only with Water Rogue last season, but now again with Womsamdi Priest. Like, how do you do it? Why does everyone just want to be like you?
You know, you just gotta look up your collection and see if there's something that makes sense and try it out. I've done that a lot of times. It's been some spicy ones, you know. Once I submitted Omega Defender and Henge Clan Sneak. Those were the days. But now we just have Womsamdi, which is clearly way too broken. They need to nerf Priest, by the way. Like, it's gonna be so dumb. It's going to be so dumb if every single series is going to be Protect Priest, Q Priest. I feel like that's how it's going to end up.
Is it just the mirror match? I feel like it's just the mirror match that is like I watch it and I'm like, oh. But
yeah, the mirror match is pretty dumb. It's just no comeback in the deck, right? So playing from behind in the mirror, like you saw the early game there. Whoever gets the first inner fire trade just wins the game. So
yeah. So I want to ask you as well, like,
it's kind of sad.
The first matchup you played, the Paladin versus Druid, like, what are your thoughts on that matchup in general? Like, were you confident going into it? Do you like the matchup? Do you think it's favored for Druid? Like, what side do you come down on?
I normally tend to think it's favored for Druid. I also think that he was a bit favored there. I don't think it's that bad, and especially when he doesn't run the Zephyrus and runs Nomi instead, it becomes quite a lot better because they lose their entire pressure plant most of the time. It's way easier for the Paladin to just focus on doing other stuff because they never have that explosive board because Nomi is irrelevant, right? But at the same time, he can just heal up, and sometimes I don't draw double Crystology, so it gets hard. I kind of lost the Q ordering in this matchup. I don't always queue Paladin versus him. I just wanted to hit the Priest or the Shaman game 1, and he queued up the Druid, so I was quite unfavored after the matchup queuing there. But I'm happy that I managed to pull it back.
You mentioned that the Nomi over the Feoris gave him a benefit. You opted to bring Feoris this week. Can you talk to me about the differences in the endgame win conditions for Druid?
I don't want to talk too much about it. You know, people are copying this week. Maybe they will copy next week. So I'll just keep at it. Maybe I'll submit Nomi next week. Who knows?
All right.
Depends.
Anything else you have for us? You know, this is your time and this is your platform, and you're 5-0, and just you're crushing everybody. Give me something spicy.
I don't know. I just hope I can continue. You know, hopefully secure a playoff spot, and yeah, nothing more really.
Well, all right, Hunterace, congratulations on your win. Thank you very much for your time. Always a pleasure to hear that you still got some secrets in store as well, and who knows what other weird legendary you're going to bring next. Looking forward to the play this week.